Hey travelers, Mag and I here on day 132 of our trip around the United States. This morning, we're getting things started off from the bank of the Ohio River here in Cloverport. Today is a very short day on miles. We only have 140 miles to cover, which is going to put us through the remaining western side of Kentucky. The reason that today's miles are so short is because we're going to be taking on the Kentucky State Star Geoart. Yes, I love those things. Now, the Geoarts aren't actually a high priority in our schedule. If the timing doesn't work out, they're the very first thing that gets cut. But I like having them in the schedule, one, because I enjoy the Geoarts, and number two, because they give us a lot of flexibility. If we're running behind at certain points in the itinerary, we can cut the State Star or cut part of the State Star out, and it can put us right back on time. Our timing today is running great. We have a series of earth caches in the middle of the day, and otherwise we only have a few county and page stops between us and the star. I see no problem at all with us getting there, completing the entire Geoart, and still being ahead of the sunlight. There's only one way to find out if what I think is going to happen is what's actually going to happen, and that's by getting out in there and doing it. So come on, let's go. This morning's adventure takes place in Breckinridge County, beginning in Cloverport, a small town with a population of around 1,100. At the age of 7, Abraham Lincoln crossed the Ohio River here with his family to move to a new farm in Indiana. I have my very strong suspicions that today it's going to be a park and grab sort of day. Not a complaint, I don't mind park and grabs. And while certainly not the flavor of the day, it was the flavor of the morning. We solved the multi-caches in town, worked our way through the wherigo, and then picked up one find after another. They might all be park and grabs, but at least we got a variety. Once we finished up our targets in Cloverport, we began to make our way out toward the Yellowbank Wildlife Management Area. Perched above the Ohio River, it is one of the seemingly forgotten wildlife management areas of north central Kentucky. It is a beautiful drive through the woods to reach the access point for Tract 3 of the trailhead. And one of those places where you feel like you have the whole world to yourself. Looking over the map for the State Star, all of the geocaches are park and grabs. So I'm guessing it's going to be 4 hours plus driving, jumping in and out of the car, finding the geocaches on the park and grab series. Aichen's not going to like that. I decided that I'm going to come out here after all and do these earth caches and force her to get a little walk time. And this trail leading toward the earth caches has only had one person come out here in the last 5 years. He found a couple and didn't find a couple. All possible lonely finds except for this little segment. If you live in the Kentucky area, now may be the time to strike. These trails are also completely undisturbed. We're the only ones that have been out here. In total, Yellowbank Wild Management Area contains 7,000 acres of mostly mature hardwoods and beautiful rock formations. The trails are ranked from easy to moderate with no substantial changes in elevation along the way. I really could not have picked a better spot to take Aichen out for a hike this morning. It was easy to tell that she loved the smooth trail conditions. Together, we were moving at a pretty fair clip through the beautiful scenery out here. And she is really hauling today too. I've got to step it out to stay ahead of her, which is great because that says she has a lot of energy to burn. And if we were out here now, we'd be paying for it later. The first trail branch we attempted did not lead us exactly where we wanted to go. 3 years lonely, and this is just a little past the trail to get to the earth caches too. There's a lot of opportunity out here. After making that unanticipated but very appreciated lonely find, we turned back and found another trailhead. Although a little more overgrown than the main trail, this one was leading us closer to the earth caches than we had come before. Once we reached this pond, I hooked left to continue to follow the trail signs. She doesn't want to believe the trail marker, and I can tell you exactly why. Trail says that's the way we're going. Let's see if we can make our way down there nice and carefully. All right, so I see what's happening now. This trail is moving around a gigantic sinkhole. So the actual trail starts from way off over there
comes around. It's got a trail marker right here. And you can see it comes around the lip over on the far side. On the map, it actually looks like it's a little ways, but in reality, you have to hike this long circle around to get down to where you're going. But there is no doubt in my mind that we are on the right path to where we are going.
Aichan and I continued to follow the trail along the northern edge of the sinkhole. We kept a pretty good distance away from that edge just to prevent any potential risk of falling. But every time we reached a point where it looked like the trail might descend into the sinkhole, it just continued further around the rim. We could not see a safe approach anywhere.
That's a wrap for me. You gotta know when to hold them, you gotta know when to fold them. We decided to circle in from the north end of this rim, and it hasn't gotten any better. It's all a steep drop off into the sinkhole area. Clearly, the approach is gonna be from the south end of the rim, but we've already been out here long enough. The dog's at her edge for hiking limits, so we're gonna head back to the car from here and be happy with our one lonely find. Hey, 3 years isn't too bad. Come out here with a whole lot of water, backpack full of supplies, and enjoy a whole day hiking around on these trails, grabbing some of the loneliest caches you can find.
It took us a long time to get that far into the trail because we kept turning at different trailheads to find where we were going. But it felt like practically no time at all before we were almost back to the parking area.
Aichan, you're in luck. We just passed the sign that points toward parking. It's not far now. You got this. There it is, Aichan. You made it back to the car. You did it. That was a fantastic hike right there. Well, I don't have to worry about her having too much energy on this run now. She's gonna be just fine while I go work on the Kentucky State Star. That was thirsty work, girl. Here you go. You've earned this. Have a good afternoon nap, Aichan. Good night.
And then my furry co-pilot proceeded to pass out for the rest of the afternoon.
So I go into the middle of the woods to find a pill bottle that nobody's found in 3 years. But then I come out where the only place I've seen people yet and find an ammo can. How strange. Hey, I'm gonna go walk down and go grab this geocache. You wanna walk out with me? You wanna come? You wanna come? No? You wanna lay down? Continue your nap? No?
That was definitely a hard pass. As tempting as a walk through this green field might look, she has no more energy. No worries, she would not have been able to help me find this one high in the tree anyway. On our way out to the Kentucky State Star, we made a short pass through Irvington, another small town with a population of around 1,100. Here I satisfied my need for a veterans memorial for the day, with flags flying in the breeze.
All right, we've made it out to the State Star, but it's a little later in the day than I'd anticipated. We've only got about 40 minutes left until we lose our light. So let's see how many of these we can find in the next 40 minutes.
How fast we can move through this series is greatly dependent on the hide style.
Oh, look at that, set into the PVC pipe so it stays in place. If this is what we're gonna be dealing with the whole run, we're gonna be able to make short work of this thing.
And now that we know what we're dealing with, it's just a matter of making it from one find to the next as quickly as possible. Most of the hides in this series are set into PVC pipes at the base of telephone poles. Occasionally, we would find one that was hidden at the bottom of something else, but it was still pretty obvious where we would be looking. We moved from one to the next until the light finally failed us.
All right, that's a wrap. Our 40 minutes is up. The sun is going down right now. We did pretty good. In our first 40 minutes on the run through the Kentucky State Star, we managed to find 15 geocaches. And these are the more spread out set of the series. So once we get done with these last few we're on and move up north to the highway there, it's going to be a lot quicker moving through them. I expect it'll only take us 2 more hours tops to finish that State Star and get the Geoart complete on the map. It was definitely a unique day today. Coming in to our first stop of the day was the multi-series that I expected I was only going to get 1, maybe 2 of and then go, because I'm not a big fan of multis. What it turned out to be is the kind that I actually like the best. An easy 2-stage where you go to the first stage. They were all based on historical markers. Answer a few questions. They gave checksums so you had an idea of whether your numbers were right. And then you went to the second stage, which was the final. After that, we went into the Wildlife Management Area, and we only ended up finding one geocache, which wasn't even a target. But we had a fantastic hike out there. I went out and only attempted 2. One of those 2 I got a 3-year lonely find on. Most of what I saw on the map hasn't had finds since 2017 or 2018. So you've got geocaches that are just sitting out there with 5 years plus lonely, waiting for somebody to come and hike those trails and find them. Hopefully, you guys will do better than we did, because I couldn't quite find the trail access to get where I wanted to. We ended up following the north end around that sinkhole. The approach had to be from the south, because it clearly wasn't from the side that we were on. But by the time we finished that up, the clock had already run down, and I'm glad that we cut out when we did, because we're already running right at the edge of the time I'd want for the rest of the Kentucky State Star. Like this video, subscribe to stay tuned for daily updates, and we'll see you out on the trails.